Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus and his disciples were gathering in Galilee. Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man must be handed over to men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day." And they were overwhelmed with grief. When they came to Capernaum, the collectors of the temple tax approached Peter and said, "Does not your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes," he said. When he came into the house, before he had time to speak, Jesus asked him, "What is your opinion, Simon? From whom do kings of the earth take tolls or census tax? From their subjects or from followers?" When he said from foreigners, Jesus said to him, "Then the subjects are exempt. But that we may not offend them, go to the sea, drop in a hook, and take the first fish that comes. Open its mouth, and you will find a coin worth twice the temple tax. Give that to them for me and for you." The Gospel of the Lord. So we've heard the saying before, death and taxes. Well, I'm going to lay another one on you. What about death and a spiritual tax? What are we willing to give for love of God? The book of Deuteronomy tells us this morning, fear the Lord, love serve and worship God. Love with all your heart, all your soul, and keep the commandments. These are spiritual taxes, you could say, meant to sustain our citizenship in heaven. In a sense, the same way that taxes elevate the communion of people in our country as necessary. Now, sometimes we question the way they deal with our tax money. Yes, that's true. But there also is a good side to that. The Son of Man will be handed over, Jesus tells his disciples. Handed over to men, and they will kill him. This is because Jesus was going to pay the price, pay the tax for Peter, and pay the tax for all of us by his passion and his death and his resurrection. Jesus has said Jesus has paid our own salvation tax for us by his dying on the cross. And what about this fish? The fish is a sign of Christianity in the ancient apostolic world. The fish is a symbol of Christ. So it opens its mouth, Christ opening the mouth, to supply the needs of humanity. And we have St. Clare today as our saint. St. Clare, following in the footsteps of St. Francis. And her and her sisters paid a taxing price. The city of Assisi was being tormented by troops from another area, and they risked their lives by staying where they were in prayer and raising up the monstrance with the host in it, which chased the soldiers away. But this was a very courageous thing for them. In other words, they paid a tax. They paid a tax to save lives. They didn't have the final say in the tax with being killed, thank God. But the Eucharist warded off the enemy because they were willing to partake and risk their lives. We too are called to pay a tax by taking up our cross and following Jesus. Let's stand and pray.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.